mass media.
Attacking the podcast world. And based on the true legendary cult classic, Olus Media presents
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Did somebody mention biscuits?
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They'll beat you, mash you, squish you, mash you, chew you up or run.
How bad is it?
Finish you off.
Also, I definitely don't feel fly again.
I'm not talking about that, you wiener! What about the tomatoes?
Your tomato senses are likely tingling because something juicy is cooking. Welcome to a special Comic-Con edition of the Killer Tomatoes podcast, where we're spilling the beans, tomatoes, on Comic-Con exclusive and some of Costa's favorite memories. Now with your saucy details, here's your host, Costa Dillon.
Well, Comic-Con, what can you say? If you've never been there, the photos and the video don't do it justice. It's like Halloween for grown-ups, sort of. Costumes of costume people representing movies, TV, anime, manga, horror, comics, stuff that I have to admit that at my age, I don't even know what half of the characters are. I have to take a photo and send it to my 20-something-year-old daughter and ask her, who the heck is that? It is a fantastic scene. The first time I was at, even though I'm a native of San Diego, I didn't collect comic books, so I wasn't at the original comic conventions in the 70s, and I left San Diego for elsewhere as Comic-Con continued to explode. When I first attended Comic-Con, it was as an exhibitor in 2006. We had the 30th anniversary edition of the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and there was a booth sponsored by the DVD company, Rhino. And we showed up. We had merchandise and T-shirts and signed autographs. I can remember I was signing these little foam tomatoes and that were made just for the event, and T-shirts and stuff, and then checking my phone to see how fast they were on eBay. Usually some of them were up there in 2 minutes. As soon as they got the autograph, they were trying to sell it. The joke was on them. Nobody wanted to buy anything autographed by me, so it was pointless. Mostly people walking by the booth went, "Who?" And had no idea who I was, and it's understandable. Nobody ever knows writers. Quick, who wrote the most famous film you like? Tell me who wrote it. It's unlikely you know the writer. You only know the actors and sometimes the director. So it was great fun, and it was a lot different than today. It hadn't reached the maximum capacity now of 130,000, I think it is, and people going online and getting their badges and stuff. In 2006, it was still, you lined up at the door, and so I can remember coming in from the hotel, because again, I hadn't seen Comic-Con. The line was over a mile long down the Embarcadero in San Diego of people waiting to get in. And that's obviously the reason why they went to the system of getting everything online and showing up with your pre-credential, because that was just, it was just amazing. I've never been so glad that I had an exhibitor's pass in my life. Because I first saw it and said, wait a minute, do I have to wait in this line? I'm going home. But it was great fun to be there and to see what was going on. And that was when the participation by the big studios was still ramping up to the huge events they have that they didn't have. Nowadays, if you go to Comic-Con, for those of you who have been there, across the street, outside the convention center, a number of entertainment entities put up huge exhibits. Some of them are reproduction villages, like for Stranger Things, for example, one year. Others have walkthrough exhibits. Some have sign and greet with celebrities, and that's all free. That's the great thing about that, is you don't have to have the Comic-Con badge. If you weren't able to get one, or you couldn't afford one, you can go to these free things that exist around the convention center, and fully fill your day. It's not as though you're going to not find anything to do. There's plenty of stuff to do, and the gas lamp quarter being right there is even better. it's an odd aside. I used to be on a committee when I was working for the state legislature back in the 80s. And one of the things we were looking at was where to put the convention center. There were two major proposals. One was to put it in Balboa Park, where the Navy Hospital was at the time planning to close part and relocate. And the other was down on the waterfront. And I have to admit, I thought the waterfront was a bad idea, because I thought, why put a giant building on the waterfront where you're going to block the view? People who are in a convention are going to be inside. They're not going to be looking at the view. It didn't take into account what eventually happened is they built it down the waterfront, and it turned out to be a good idea, because the gas lamp quarter, which had been a pretty scurvy place, it was fruit and vegetable distributors and car repair shops and houses of ill repute, and really a derelict area. And building the convention center there revitalized it, and it helped lead to the Gaslamp becoming an area of shops and restaurants and boutique hotels that it is now. And when Petco Park was put in for the Padres, even more so. So it turns out I was wrong. I didn't foresee that happening. The downside is they tore down all the places where we shot the battle scenes from the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, because that was in what is now the Gaslamp Quarter when it was seedy shops. Those all either got torn down or rebuilt into the nice restaurants and places they are today. So we always are at Comic-Con. Killer Tomatoes are in the booth by Atomic Toy Box, and you can stop by that booth and pick up Killer Tomatoes merchandise. I read Comic-Con is something like $150 million impact on the San Diego economy, and I'm pretty sure like $140 million of that is selling Killer Tomato merchandise. So you don't want to miss any of that. It's a highlight of Comic-Con. So be sure you stop by.
Thanks for listening to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Be sure to follow and subscribe whenever you listen to your podcasts. To read the blog associated with this episode, visit olismedia.com. This episode was produced in studios located in San Diego, California, and Tijuana, Baja California. Creative Director Ulises Bretón. Sound Engineer Alan Glazepar. Pina Alvarez is co-producer. Serving as executive producer and co-founder is J.C. Polk. And Chad Pease is president and co-founder. Olis Media is an IVC media company.
Olis Media. Feeling stuck in the weekday haze? Swing by March and Ash for No Tax Tuesdays. 30% off selected brands. And for that weekend vibe, don't miss Flower Fridays. Learn more at marchandash.com. Elevate your week, fire up your weekend.